Galen, I had
Yeah, you had words. You do not have them anymore.
never. I had a thought
Okay.
earlier today. It's about our gaming cycles, our gaming habits that the two of us have. I have some analogies here, so bear with me.
Okay.
Your consuming habit is like a game of Pong, or no. Let's do food. I like food. Your gaming habits are like going to fast food drive-up windows.
Okay.
It's the same process every time. You get there, you have other options, but you know what you're probably going to get with very little variation. And like, you know, the next day you're like, maybe I'll do this or maybe I'll do that. But then you still end up just going to go get fast food and you just still end up having pretty much the same thing. And it goes back and forth like that in a straight line.
Okay, I'm following you.
Am I correct in your gaming vicious cycle here?
I mean, it's Destiny.
Sure. For me, it's a little bit of a circular motion. It's an Ouroboros, as some may say.
Okay.
I translate video games, and I write about video games for my jobs, and I make money from that. I use that money to buy video games. And then I'm busy with work, so I don't play or consume those video games. Rinse and repeat.
So you're consuming for the sake of consuming by a consuming nature?
No, I'm not even consuming. Here's the thing. My gaming habit is like a plate of fish at a buffet. Where...
What buffet are you going to where there's fish?
That's it. This is part of the point. It's sitting there on the hot plate. Some people might pick at it, you know, but ultimately it's been sitting on that hot plate for 8 hours. It's freshly made, but nobody really touches it. And then it gets thrown out at the end of the night, and then the next day, it all over again.
So you're telling me that my gaming habits are the equivalent of something that you purchase, you don't finish, and then even years later, it doesn't decay. It just kind of sits there, and you're wondering, why is this a thing? Where your habits are a health hazard.
How is fast food not a health hazard? Also, that was a big lie. It does decay. That was a big stupid lie that stupid documentary did. What was it called? Something about fat in 1,000 days. What was it called?
Are you talking Super Size Me or
Super Size Me? That's what it is.
Yeah, that wasn't the one that I was referring to, but okay. I think they did use that example.
They did, and they lied. It's like, you don't need to lie that fast food is unhealthy. Just use facts.
No, that's true.
It's insane. I'm tired of this. Hello, my lovely little Koroks. Friends, thank you for joining us today on the Nintendo Everything Podcast, episode 106. I am Oni Dino. With me is a Korok that isn't very well hidden. It's Galen.
But when you do come up to me and you find me, I have to give you some sort of puzzle. It's super simple. It's like, move a frickin' rock. But, yeah, no, otherwise I'm here.
Galen, have you played A Breath of the Wild? It's the other way around.
That's
you
a
solve the
Metroid,
puzzle,
right?
then you find it.
That's a Metroid, right?
We're a weekly show. Episodes go live every Sunday. We're on all podcast platforms, Nintendo Everything Podcast. Just listen to us wherever, leave us the ratings, and give us the shares. I'm losing my mind.
I mean, that's not news. We've all known this for quite some time.
But let's get into what's fresh and funky in our adventure log. Galen, you own a Twitter despite them trying to get rid of you. What is it?
They continuously block me at Mobis087, so go ahead and follow me there to see how long I stick around.
And I'm at Oni_Dino with messages of positivity and immense depression. Which will you get today? Maybe both.
Yeah, it's kind of a mix of the two with you.
Mixed nuts, some may say.
There's a lot of layers to that joke.
I'm very intelligent and very funny. Oh. Galen, we gotta talk about a lot of video games we've been talking about today. What do you got a lot of games you want to talk about? Tell me about the Animal Crossing.
You know what? I'm going to be brief on this one because I've been talking about Animal Crossing a lot lately.
Imagine.
But I would be remiss not to talk about the new Thanksgiving Day event that they had on there. It was a little...
You meant remiss, not reminisce. Those are two different things.
I did say remiss. Did I say remiss or reminisce?
You said reminisce.
Okay, I meant remiss.
Fucking idiot.
I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the Turkey Day event that they just had. It was a little surprising. I wasn't quite sure what to expect while going into it. Turns out that the entire thing was just a gigantic scavenger hunt. Like, that was the underlying goal here. You go up to Franklin, the turkey. He's already in the midst of prepping different meals, and he tells you to go bring him different ingredients.
Franklin the cannibal, by the way.
He specifically says no turkey on the menu today. So,
does he have a tofurkey?
He has fish. It's weird.
Fish is tasty.
Well, yeah, but like fish
unless
dishes...
it's been sitting out for 8 hours at a buffet.
But yeah, no, he tells you different ingredients to go and find, and then you put those into the dishes, and he makes them, and basically that's it. Once you get stuff, he gives you an item. It's very straightforward. After you make the 4 main courses, which is like, I think it's a pumpkin pie, a gratin, is it? I've never...
Gratine.
Gratine. Yeah, yes. I've never actually heard of that before. A clam chowder, and then a fish dish. Oh, absolutely. Remember, I am the fast food equivalent of a video game.
Mm-hmm. You could have just stopped at equivalent.
After you make the 4 main dishes, however, he gives you hints as to secret ingredients that you can put in there. Now, fortunately, I have no time, so I just jumped onto the internet and avoided the whole trial and error part of it.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was sarcasm.
It was fun to be able to get everything together, but it got really frustrating because some of the secret ingredients are very hard to get a hold of. So it basically came down to RNG, which really kind of highlighted some of the flaws in the game, especially when it comes to the swimming aspect that they introduced in there. I hate the swimming in this game. It takes way too long.
I think you said you were so excited for it before it got implemented, too. That's a shame.
I was originally, but once you jump in, you basically go to 1/4 of your speed, as opposed to if you were out there. And the only way to get to a reasonable, like, navigational speed is to mash the A button. So you're doing your swimming, you're going around, and then you see random bubbles, and then you have to dive underwater, which lowers your speed even more, and try to catch the shadows that are under there. If you manage to catch the shadow, which all you have to do is run into it, then you get to collect whatever that bug, crustacean, fish, whatever it is, in that process. But the entire thing takes so freaking long, and there really is no way to tell what it is that you're going after.
Oh, it's just like a shadow, and then you get it, and then it's...
The only indicators that you have are the number of bubbles that are coming up and the speed of the actual shadow.
Have you ever caught a fart?
No farts yet.
Okay.
And it's really frustrating because I seriously spent like 2.5 hours looking for a god dang crab. And I could not for the life of me find this freaking crab. And then I jumped out of the water and was like, okay, this is dumb. I'm going to go check my villagers' houses, see if they need anything. Apparently, there's a whole nother thing to this event where somebody is cooking in their house. They will ask you for something, and if you bring it them, they'll exchange ingredients for you. So once I realized this, I traded 3 different items and got the frickin' crab that I had been looking for 2.5 hours for.
Oh, that sounds like a Galen problem, Galen.
Regardless, I'm glad that I had a better understanding of this. I thought the scavenger hunt element was fun, but other than that, compared to some of the other events, it was a little bit more on the low-key side. So, yeah.
I did see a screenshot of Franklin like preparing the dinner, and it was kind of cool. He had like a Julia Child setup.
Yeah, he does actually. I didn't think about that before, but that's 100% accurate.
I wonder what he sounds like, what Franklin sounds like. Imagine like a Julia Child's speech pattern with like some gobbles in it. Could you do an impression for us actually right now?
So every person that you talk to has their own catchphrase in there, including the special visitors. Franklin's is gobble gob, specifically because they ran out of characters to do gobble twice. So, oh, now I'm just thinking of Julia Child going gobble gob.
But you have to add a little gobble to your speech pattern, though. Come on, really sell it, Galen.
I have no idea.
That's actually it's better than I expected.
Yeah, I do have to be honest though. My wife does an absolutely fantastic Julia Child. It is on point.
Your wife is very good with the accents and such.
My wife
she
is
does
amazing.
It very fun.
She is a woman of many talents.
Especially patience and putting up with.
Yep.
God, that thought just like shocked me out of reality. I just had something to say and I forgot what it was.
What thought?
I don't know. It's gone. My brain vomited in indignation just now, and I lost it.
It was too shocking and too pure for this world.
No, it's not the thought. It's the. He's not following me, everybody. He's not. Speaking of following, though, I did some following of my own in a video game last week.
Okay.
Galen, excuse me, Galen, can you take your eyes off of your phone for a second and listen? My eyes are up here.
You didn't say anything.
Not that you heard. I played The Missing, J.J. Macfield, and the Island of Memories.
Okay.
I talked about this just very briefly last week. I was like, yo, I'm going to have more thoughts on it later. I want to digest everything, want to put some thoughts out, right? So, what is this game? It's, this is a 2D puzzle platformer. Kind of think of like indie platformers or cinematic platformers like, oh God, what was that game called? It was called different things in the North American release and the European release. Another World, I want to say it was called. This is back in the mid-90s.
Oh, okay.
When Galen wasn't alive.
It's true. I am the opposite of a boomer. I'm not following what game you're talking about, though, but 2D puzzle platformer, that kind of reminds me of something like Braid, where you're jumping around, but there's also that extra element where it's more about solving things.
I would say it's a little bit more like something, what's that called? The Inside, is that what it's called?
Okay.
Anyway, we must move on. This is about a girl and her girlfriend. Very lesbian, it's wonderful. It is very story-driven, very character-driven. Gameplay-wise, it's doing things that I don't think I've ever experienced in a video game before. At times, it's spooky and uncanny. At other times, it's breathtaking and emotional, and at other times, it's funny even.
So it's surprising you on an emotional level as opposed to like a mechanical level.
That's correctamundo. Very correctamundo.
All right. I like the expectations going in here.
Yes. It is most of all a relatable experience on a human level. I will say that if you know nothing about this game, nothing at all, but the very little I've said so far does intrigue you, keep it that way and go into the game as blind as possible. The gameplay mechanics and story beats are impactful and wonderful. I'm trying to like think, because I want to put like a little spoiler warning here, but I'm trying to think, what can I say right now?
Okay.
Of course, don't want to spoil anything. It's, I don't know, what does the game cost? Like $20-ish, but I have seen it on sale for even 50% off from time to time, especially moving into like Christmas and like January sales.
Yeah.
I would be, oh Jesus Christ, I would not be surprised if this game were on sale again. So really consider it if you like very story-driven 2D puzzle platformers that have some weight behind them. The mechanics and gameplay are fine, serviceable, occasionally really good, but usually it's just like, it's fine. What's really pulling you through the whole game is the story and its writing and its characterization.
Okay.
So there's that, okay? I will go into this game and like basic gameplay and story beats here, nothing like mid-game spoilers or late-game spoilers. So if you know more about this game than what I just said, you can continue listening. But if you know nothing about it and you are a little intrigued, please skip this part and come back to it after you started playing the game.
Okay.
So, spoiler warning ahead.
Well, one question before you go into that.
All right.
I think you can answer this in a non-spoiler way.
Cool.
Looking at the narrative, because you say that's one of the most captivating parts to this game.
Yeah.
Are you talking about a narrative that is cause and effect, like it's an evolving story that you are learning as you're going along? Or is this more something like you would find that's piecemeal together, like in Dark Souls, where there's story there, but you got to find out what's going by reading into the clues of what's going on? And
No.
Like what kind of storytelling are we talking about here?
It's definitely not Dark Story. Whatever.
Dark
Stories. It's not Dark Story. It is.
Dark Stores is all the stores that are currently closed right now.
It is one story, and it is told well. It's a slice of what's going on, and the characterization is so good that you can kind of think about what these characters are like outside of this one story.
Okay.
But it is very much a singular story with a mystery that you're piecing together. By the end of it, you understand everything, and it's wonderful.
Nice. And the only reason I ask is because I feel like there are enough games that fall into either or in that category. That
Yeah.
I mean, some people have preferences, so...
Yeah, absolutely. It was a good question.
Thank you.
Back into your cage.
Back into the spoiler territory.
So yes, moving forward, spoilers, probably just skip ahead to the next game if you're looking, at our timestamps to see where to skip to. So, you play as a girl named JJ, and it starts off in the beginning. You go camping with your girlfriend. Right off the bat, the game is sweary AF. Oh, I forgot to even mention, this is a sweary game. The guy that did Deadly Premonition.
All right.
The dialogue and tone is just slightly off and just makes you like 10% confused.
Mm-hmm.
Your girlfriend Emily goes missing, and you go looking for her, and weird shit starts happening immediately. So like you see like this enormous shadowy monster. You have no idea what you're looking at, and it's feasting on your own corpse in the distance.
What?
It's very weird, and it's sweary AF. So
Okay.
you continue to chase after Emily, and you're solving puzzles. So that's kind of all I'm really going to say much about the story. It's definitely an LGBTQ story, and it's great. It's good representation. I will have more things to say about it with people who have played it, so come talk to me on our Discord, which I forgot to mention earlier. Yeah. It's in our description, blah, blah, blah. Gameplay. Let's talk about gameplay. So like a lot of cinematic platformers, there is a stiffness and deliberate control scheme to your character's actions. Everything is weighty and has weight to it. You mentioned Braid earlier. It's not like Braid at all, where you move around and you jump and it feels kind of like a Mario,
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that at all. This is a little bit more like a weighty Abe's Odyssey or those kinds of games.
Yeah, there's another game that's coming to mind right now. I can't remember what it's called, but you play as this. It's like entirely everything is in shadow, and you're playing this little kid who's trying to go and find someone. I think it's his sister. I cannot. It was an indie game that was really big about like 3-4 years ago.
I think that's the Inside. That's the one I was talking about.
Oh, okay. Well,
Maybe
you said
not.
the Inside. You said the Inside was like something that was based back in the 90s. So.
No, that was... Oh, goodness gracious, Galen, you can't keep up! That was Another World that I was talking about.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Lovely listeners, I'm glad you're keeping up.
Hi, folks. My name is Galen. I'm here for a podcast.
So, there's a little bit of jank to the movements. It's nowhere near like his other games, though, in terms of jank.
Okay.
Like, this is
I was about to say,
probably,
it's a sweary game, so...
this is probably his most accessible game in terms of, like, gameplay and movement and stuff like that. That's for sure. So you solve puzzles using oftentimes physics, and there's collectibles in the environments everywhere. The collectibles are little pink donuts, which is part of JJ's personality. She likes donuts. She likes this one donut mascot, and you have a phone and you send text to your friends and stuff like that, and it has like stickers on there that you can use, and hers are always donut themed. Just, little accoutrements like that have personality to it. Let's see. Yeah, so talking about the phone, like, you have all these people that you're talking to, and when you collect all the donuts, like when you collect so many, you get a new batch of text to read, and it's excellent because oftentimes collectibles and games are kind of like just for the collectors.
Yeah.
For this one, this really has a gameplay thing to it. You learn more about the characters, and that's the best, like, beyond anything else, the best part of this game. So you want to keep collecting those things. You also get like little concept art and stuff like that as you go, based on the amount of donuts that you collect, which I love. It's super, super worth collecting everything.
Nice.
Oh, you also get costume changes too, so you can change JJ's costume, and it's the colors and stuff are based off of other characters in the game.
Okay. Yeah, that's really encouraging. I love games that do reward you for going out of your way to try to do everything that the game is challenging you to do.
Yeah.
So.
And if you don't want them, you can skip it, but I would say that you're doing yourself a disservice.
You're not getting the full story by just doing the bare minimum.
Now, the big gameplay hook here, and again, if you've been listening to this and you don't know what the big gameplay hook is for this game, I highly recommend you skip this part and you just go play the game. Highly recommend. The gameplay hook here is that you, JJ, are destructible. Your limbs rip off, your body falls apart from damage, and you use that to your advantage to solve the puzzles. So suddenly you're missing a leg, suddenly your arm falls off, suddenly you're a torso. Maybe you're just a head rolling around on the ground. You don't die. You can die once you get down to being a head, and then you take one more piece of damage. But basically, you just fall apart. Like, death becomes her. Okay, I don't know why I tried to say that movie. Like
that explains things.
It doesn't. Not for the young people or for the uncultured swine like Galen. Death Becomes Her, a brilliant movie with oh god, I can't remember actors' names. Meryl Streep, of course. Fifth Element guy, Bruce Willis. He was in it, and hold on, Cliff. What was the name? The Death Becomes Her. What's the name of the other actress? The red hair. Goldie Hawn. Oh, I love Goldie Hawn. I forgot that was Goldie Hawn. Anyway, it's a brilliant movie. It's from like 1988, so like, it's one of my favorite movies. Anyway, boy, am I getting away from this even further than I thought I was. Okay, so your limbs fall apart. Galen's looking up the movie right now because he's not listening. And all of you should look that movie up and watch it. It's wonderful. Oh, and what's her name's in it?
You have quoted it several times.
Have I?
Yes.
Great. That's so wonderful. What's her name is in it too? Cliff. What? What's the name of the Italian lady that's in it? No, not Sophia Loren. She was in 30 Rock as well. She was Jack's wife. This is a riveting podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally sitting in front of a computer. I don't know why I'm... Sorry, Cliff. Get back to Tomb Raider. Cliff's
Hi, Cliff.
I'm not telling him you said that, Galen. Cliff is playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Oh, nice. You should bring him on for an adventure
Breath
log.
of the Wild. What the hell am I looking up? Death Becomes Her. Oh my god. This is the worst podcast in the world.
This is the best podcast in the world.
Isabella Rossellini. This is like 3 people are going to know what the hell I'm even talking about. Isabella Rossellini, and she's brilliant, and I love her very much. God, this is such a like...
I think Fabio's in it too.
Fabio's in it?
Cute.
What?
He's like a bodyguard or something.
You're right, Fabio is in it! Just shows you how late 80s, early 90s that movie is. It's such a wonderful movie. Anyway, your arm, everything falls apart.
I'm really expecting Sammy to come back with a tweet and you just clipping you saying that the Fifth Element guy, and then I don't know, doing something like a clip from The Return of Bruno or something. Just complete contrast to what I said last week with Mila Jovovich.
I don't know how you could forget her name though.
I don't think I did. Like, I have to go back and listen to that again.
How about we just say...
If I remember correctly, I said her name. You didn't know who I was talking about because I mispronounced her last name.
Boy, this is boring. Play gameplay.
Let's talk about video games.
Yeah, well, I'm trying.
So am I.
No, you're not. You're listen.
I'm trying to, but you're sitting there on IMDb trying to look up.
I'm
Death
not on
Becomes
IMDb.
Her.
You just went to IMDb. I saw it on your phone. I saw it.
You can't prove that. Can't prove that.
I can. I seen it with my own 2 eyes. Now shut your mouth when you're listening to me. Anyway, JJ's limbs fall off, and like the very first time that it happens for you, see, you're doing it again. JJ's limbs fall off the very first time. It's like this oh shit moment. Like it's serious, and like sometimes you have to get hit by a wrecking ball, and the wrecking ball breaks your leg, and it breaks your neck, and it flips your reality. It like inverts it so that way you can solve puzzles. Anytime she breaks her neck, literally the world flips vertically 180 degrees.
That is really weird.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever played a game that has done something like that gameplay wise.
So do the physics change along with it too?
I mean, it goes 180 degrees, not 100. Yeah, 180 degrees vertically, not horizontally.
Yeah. So I'm standing on the
yes.
floor, my neck breaks, it inverses, and then all of a sudden I start falling towards the ceiling. Like that kind of physics?
Correct, yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Like I say, you know, this is what you do. It's never comical when you do this. It's always portrayed with like the, excuse me, the appropriate amount of gravity.
Mm-hmm.
So to accompany that, the sound design is so upsetting. It's very well done. You hear bone cracks and like your body twisting. Highly recommend you play this with headphones. God, her screams are so visceral and so believable. There's moments where you have to set her on fire and she wails and wails. It's like a horror film.
I don't think I can play this game. I would just feel like a bad person.
It's exactly like that. It is a testament to how well it is, what do I want to say? Not accomplished, damn it, what's that word? Executed. Ooh! Not even a joke I tried to make. Because initially, when you realize that's what you have to do, because they design it in a way that you have to get hit, so that way you have to see that, you know, you are capable of these things. After that, you're like, oh my god, I don't want to hurt her. Like, I feel bad for her. So it makes you have this wonderful connection to your character that you're playing as. And it's just so excellently done. It's such a great example of molding gameplay into character writing to make this wonderful, unique character connection that you have with the player. Or wait, that the player has with the character. That's what I meant. It's really great.
This actually reminds me of another type of game, and I cannot for the life of me remember what it is, but it was basically an action platformer game that as your character took damage, limbs would fall off, but he has been cursed with immortality. So you would use that for puzzles. Like sometimes you wanted to go down to being just ahead, so you can roll down through these like narrow passages.
This sounds exactly like what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not the missing?
No, I'm 100% positive because that game had a very comedic overtone. Like it did not have like the realism or the gravitas to it.
Okay.
So, mechanically, I think it's interesting that kind of thing came back up, but this seems so much more like effective to the meaning.
Yeah,
So
it
they're
definitely
just making
is.
a joke.
It plays into the story as well, so it goes places, and it's great.
Yeah.
Overall, I do want to like put out like a little bit of a warning in terms of gameplay. There's a lot of very unforgiving checkpointing in the game. You just don't know when you hit a checkpoint. Like, when can I turn this game off and then I won't lose progress, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
I will sort of give an FYI to people who are going to play it or whatever. There is no visual indicator that I noticed, like a little, circle-y thing or something happening when a checkpoint happens. But my suggestion to you is, if you feel like you've gotten out of a major area, like a warehouse or a church or a train graveyard, and then you come up to a new major area, like one of them is a bowling alley, when you kind of feel that's when you know that you can stop the game. It saves, it's auto-saving constantly, so you don't lose progress in terms of like if you collected donuts. So you don't lose that, but your checkpointing might just start you way earlier than you even thought. You have to redo a puzzle or something for progress.
Okay.
But anyway, if you have just done a major thing, you can stop the game there and start over, and you'll not lose any, or you'll lose very, very little progress. But that is a kind of design flaw in my opinion, where it just doesn't tell you like, okay, yes, I can stop here, because I never wanted to lose my progress,
Is there any sort of like manual save that you can do just to like
Not
be
that
on
I
the safe
noticed.
side?
Not that I noticed.
That's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, but I mean, again, you don't lose your donuts and stuff that you collected, so maybe you went through half the level, you collected all these like really hard to get donuts, and then you died somehow. You don't have to go after those donuts again. Once you got them for good. So that's helpful, but they could have still done better.
Yeah.
Overall, there's still so much more I want to say about this game, but I've already been talking about it too long. Had a fantastic time with this game. The gameplay is serviceable, occasionally fun, but it's the story and the mystery that really kept me going. I haven't said much about what's going on in the story or whatever, but it is a very like self-explorative story. It's an LGBTQ story. It's got good representation. There's a mystery there. It's just wonderful. Lovely listeners, if you have played this game or eventually play this game, do let me know what you think about it, and let's talk about it. Come chat in the Discord with me. I have so much more to say about this. Really, really wonderful narrative experience.
Yeah.
That was The Missing, JJ Macfield and the Island of Memories.
And this is on Switch, PC? How are you playing
Switch,
this?
PC, PS4, probably Xbox. I played it on Switch.
Okay.
I will say that I played it in handheld the entire time. Performance was good. I will say that I think in TV mode it seems to perform at a slightly jerkier frame rate.
Okay.
But I played it in handheld the entire time, and it was completely wonderful. That way I could read the text and everything. That was all good. One weird thing, and this really bothered me, but it happens so infrequently, is they screwed up the cancel and confirm buttons. They made B button confirm and cancel the A button. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that sounds like it was programmed with like PlayStation controls in mind, because I know on the PlayStation controller the X is on the
but
button,
only in the West.
Yeah, and in the West that is most of the time the confirm button. So
yeah,
that is weird. That is a little weird.
So anyway, thankfully, like, you really don't have to go into menus and like, press like the confirm button very often at all. Sometimes I forgot, about it. So it never bothered me and affected my gameplay. Unlike like Knights of Azure 2, which was on the Switch, and they also did that screwed up confirm button thing. But you had to constantly press the confirm button in that game, and that was really annoying.
Yeah.
Despite also liking that story. And despite that also being a game about lesbians. Does every lesbian game have to switch the confirm button on the Switch controller?
It's, you know,
Checkmate!
trying to...
SJWs. I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, Galen, what the hell else have you been playing?
Honestly, not a whole lot.
Cool!
I've been doing a lot of work lately, a lot of overtime in preparation for Thanksgiving coming up. So
But you did a shopping spree.
I did actually.
You shopped till you dropped.
It'll be a little bit late, but there still should be some deals going on by the time this episode actually does come up.
Oh, absolutely. There's tons of great deals going on in the eShop and at various retailers, so everybody check it out. Check it out.
Absolutely. Also, pro tip, look for various ways that you can do a little bit of like double dipping. One that I particularly recommend is look for any sort of deals that are going on where they sell discounts on the actual eShop cards. Those usually show up in the US around like Monday because of like Cyber Monday sales.
I think that Best Buy is doing a 10% off on Saturday specifically. And
Yeah.
this podcast, we're recording this Friday night, but this podcast will be up on Sunday. So at least in America, I'm not sure about like Canada and maybe other places where Best Buy retails, but you can at least buy on the American Best Buy US eShop cards for 10% off.
Yeah, but you get them at a discount. So like you spend, let's say, $50 and you get a $50 eShop card for $45. Well, then you take that money and you put it onto the eShop and you go for something like Hades or My Friend Pedro or Unruly Hero, and you're getting even more of a discount on those. All three are games that I am going to be playing and reviewing pretty soon. Because
as long as he can hit his mic along the way.
Yeah, probably. You know that.
How embarrassing.
A little bit. But no, I'm especially excited to start playing Hades and give it that try, because I've been hearing lots of recommendations to play it. I've been hearing lots of good things. I've had my eye on it even before it was officially announced for the Switch. So now that that game is on sale, this is a great time to pick that up. So,
are you ready to go full pansexual with the character designs in Hades?
You're asking that like I'm not already.
Galen, don't lie to yourself. Awkward silence.
I'm just saying, everybody in that game is very pretty.
Very, very pretty.
Yeah. Actually, you might find this a little bit interesting. I'm thinking I'm gonna have I'm thinking in Baldur's Gate 3, I'm actually going to have the character I created be in a gay relationship.
Oh, that's nice.
One of the characters in there is super, super charismatic, and, you know, I want them to be wizard bros, so...
Well, there's nothing gayer than being a bro? I don't know. I tried just something. Anywho, last game I want to talk about, not too long, just because I haven't played it too much. There's a lot more to say about it after I get into the nitty-gritty, into the Korok seeds. That is Hyrule Warriors Attack on Ganon. Sure.
Cue the music. Imba's just like using the whatever those like weird grappling hook things.
Yeah, those grappling things. I forgot what they're called. I watched the first season of that, and I even played the game. I went to Koei Tecmo's office.
You did. You should really know this.
I should know what it's called.
Wow, fake reviewer over here.
I've never been a reviewer. I've never been that, so you can't call me a fake.
Vertical launch unit. It has some weird acronym to it. I can't remember.
It's cool though. It feels really cool to play that game, those Attack on Titan games. Anyway, this is not that. Hyrule Warriors, Age of Ultron.
We're really having a problem staying on topic this episode.
That sounds like a Galen problem, Galen.
Sounds like an Oni problem.
You'd be wrong. This is a Muso.
Even if it was...
Look, I'm trying to talk about the game, and look who's not.
And that's your problem.
This is
because
a
now
Muso
you have to go over whatever I'm saying.
Hack and slash. I'm muting you right now. Muso semi hack and slash, and I say semi hack and slash game for reasons later. Prequel to Breath of the Wild. Y'all know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not deep enough in the story to really talk about that. I'll talk about that at a future date. You can't. You can't play this game like a hack and slash, really. For the small, like the mobs of moblins, or wait, no, bokoblins. The mobs of bokoblins. Oh boy, that sounds like I'm from the countryside and I'm just like talking about some type of food. The mobs of bokoblins.
Cobs and moblins.
That's fine. However, if you are fighting against the mini bosses or the bosses where you have to Z target onto them, you can't hack and slash. You will get bodied. They don't flinch from your regular attacks or anything like that, so you can try and do some combos and stuff, but you're just going to get hit in the middle of it and you'll flinch.
Yeah.
And if you're playing in some of the harder modes, because you can choose anywhere from very easy to very hard difficulty, if you're playing in anything else, like 2 hits and you'll die. And it is a very different experience from the other Hyrule Warriors.
Extreme.
And you really need to use the mechanics. It's a very mechanic-heavy game. You use your Sheikah Slate to do your stasis, magnesis, bombs, and whatever the other one was. Ice pillar thing. And that's part of how you can get the enemy's weak point out. It honestly plays when you're in those, one-on-one Z target battles. It honestly plays way more like a character action game than anything else. Just because you have to, it is fast and it is frenetic, but you have to dodge, and there's like witch time in it, just like in Breath of the Wild. If you did the perfect dodge, you would get a flurry rush. In this one, and you can make it a little bit easier, but in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, is that right?
What?
Age of Calamity? That is right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway. The flurry rush thing, the dodging window is super, super tight. You have to be like skin of your teeth.
Yeah, I remember that from the demo. Yeah. By the way, can we acknowledge the fact that I absolutely love that you called it that witch time effect, in that game, Breath of the Wild. And it's like, wait, what isn't witch time from Bayonetta?
That's not what I said.
That is what you said.
No, I said there's witch time in it just like there was in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. But
I didn't say that that's where witch time came from.
No, but forget it.
Are you realizing that it crumbled right before you?
I'm just saying.
Like a castle of sand?
I'm just saying, you could have used the analogy to say, hey, this is like in witch time, like in Bayonetta. And it would have meant the exact same thing, but you went ahead and now you added a different game into it. So
I said like Breath of the Wild because if I had said like Bayonetta, then gobshites on the internet would have been like, that was actually in Breath of the Wild and that's where the mechanic came from, not from Bayonetta. That's how they sound.
I'm sure they do.
I talk to one every week. I know how they sound.
Continue.
The one is you! You were the ball lickers! What else do I have to say about this goddamn game?
You are the ones who are the ball.
Clifton just heard what I said. All in all, I'm enjoying that the game is much more challenging than the original Hyrule Warriors. It's definitely a different experience. Battles are much slower paced and take way longer than Hyrule Warriors. With Hyrule Warriors, the first one, it was like beat the level in 15 minutes to get an A rank. In this one, it's not the case at all. I spent over an hour in one of the story missions, and that was completely fine. That was not a detriment at all. There is environmental exploration that you genuinely have to do. The maps are much less grid-like the first Hyrule Warriors. In this one, they're more organically shaped, and there's so much more to them as well.
Okay.
They're asking to be explored, and it's great. Do
you find yourself wanting to explore it more than when you went through in Breath of the Wild?
No, I would say that those two things are incomparable.
Okay.
Because Breath of the Wild, the point was to explore, right? In this one, exploration is an accoutrement to what you are doing, which is, doing the missions or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. The weapon upgrade system, I will say, there is lots that they really don't tell you about that, or that they only vaguely tell you about it. I'm still learning it, but as soon as I learn more about it, I want to bring some more pointers to the podcast for listeners. The one thing, well, to set it up, you synthesize and fuse weapons together. You basically sacrifice a weapon to level up your base weapon, and every 5 levels, you get to add a new passive buff to that weapon. And it's based on whatever you sacrificed. So far, a recommendation is to stick with the same shape of skill. When I say shape, I mean there's an icon, and each of those icons is a group. So there will be circle icons, square icons, octagons, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
And, passive buffs that belong to that same group, if you have 2 or more in that same group on your weapon, you get a bonus to not only that passive buff, but you also get a bonus to your attack power as well. So that is indispensable to do. So definitely pay attention to the shape of those icons.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have a lot more to say about it later after I play some more of it. Overall, I am enjoying it. I wish that it played a little bit more at a stable 30 frames a second. It's definitely got some dips to it. I kind of just wish that there were a little bit fewer enemies on screen, and maybe that your character moved a little bit slower. Just because this already moves so much slower and more deliberately than the first Hyrule Warriors, and I think that this current Hyrule, the second one, is better for it. It differentiates itself from the first for that. And I wish that they kind of just would have gone a little bit, bless you, Cliff. I wish that they would have gone a little bit further into that direction with it, just because it would have, gave the game even a little bit more weight. But
would you do you think that it is how did I want to ask this question? Do you think that this is more of an over ambition from the developers on that slowdown that is popping up, or do you think that this is a limitation of the Switch hardware?
I think they're just pushing the Switch hardware, just really pushing it, because it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. There's a dynamic resolution happening, so that way it can, look as beautiful as possible, and then just sort of pare it back when they have a ton of particle effects and whatnot going on screen. It's very obvious when dynamic resolution kicks in when you're doing when you're Urbosa and you do her special attack. Very obvious then, but it's okay because it bumps right back up. I don't mind dynamic resolutions at all. I just really wish that it would play at a very stable 30 frames a second instead of having a few dips from time to time. I said this before when I was playing the demo, a couple months ago, but this title in particular really makes me wish that there was a Switch Pro.
Yeah.
So hopefully my dreams will come true.
Hopefully.
Or maybe they'll crumble like everything else.
Sometimes both will happen.
Speaking of all of that, Hyrule Warriors...
For a second, I legitimately thought that Skype froze.
Oh no, that was just my soul freezing. Oh, like that song from Madonna. Let's go into the news. There was a really, really good anime music video to that song by Madonna called Frozen. And it was Chibiusa, Rini from Sailor Moon, and her Pegasus horse bestiality love thing. It sounds way less great now that I just said all that.
I've unfortunately seen Sailor Moon up to that point. I know what you're talking about.
It was a great anime music video.
Yeah.
Kind of miss those. Hey, but you know what? The news. Okay, news. Starting off, Galen, Hyrule Warriors.
Mm-hmm. I hear it's doing well.
Yeah, what is this title? Attack on Calamity.
The attack is not in the word, like, at all.
It is now. Welcome to Thunderdome. It has shipped 3 million units worldwide in just like 4 days. This is a report coming from Famitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And this is important to say 3 million shipped.
Yes.
Because the reason, or the way that they got this data is through a combination of total global shipments and download sales. So these aren't confirmed sales, but they're more like a very hard projection.
Yes.
The big takeaway on this is that it very much could be, or either very soon will be, the best-selling Warriors game ever, according to Famitsu.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's cool. I mean, Nintendo has kind of needed this because this is their big holiday seller right now.
Yeah,
So-
this and the Marios. They got the 3D Marios.
Yeah. So it's very encouraging to see this being so well received.
Sorry. It was a ghost that touched my soul.
I guess.
Leaving that in. Pokemon!
Yeah.
Pokemon! 25th anniversary.
Mm-hmm. It was at the Macy Day parade this year.
I didn't know that they still held that. Did they seriously hold that stupid frickin' parade?
Yeah, they do it like every year.
I know, but guess what we don't have every year? An infectious disease killing over millions.
True.
And they still held it?
Yeah.
Cool. Responsible.
To be fair,
Let's not.
when they held it, they did not have an audience. It was all televised and like scripted, like they are only driving things through this area. Like there wasn't the mass conglomeration of crowds that usually show up to this thing.
But
It
still,
was the-
people would watch it, and it would still congregate people together for the sake of we need to promote.
They closed off the areas around it, so yeah. Like
don't believe.
police barricades and
I don't-
it-
but
Listen,
still, you
I'm
go
not
up to the
going
barricades.
to defend them much more than this. I'm just trying to put the facts out.
All right.
Talk about Pokemon.
25th anniversary. They made a little announcement, I guess, at the parade or something. I don't know. This came out through the parade, but they teased a, quote, very special upcoming celebration, end quote, for the 25th anniversary, whatever the hell that means.
Yeah.
We already know that, like, next year is going to be a big year for Pokemon.
Mhm.
They have a new Pokemon Snap. They do have
Very excited about that.
Yeah, being made by Bandai Namco.
Mhm.
Detective Pikachu sequel. Cool.
Yeah.
They also have that MOBA Pokemon Unite happening.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have Pokemon Sleep, which I am not tired of hearing about. What else? What do you think, what's going to happen with next week? Next year?
I honestly don't know.
Cool.
Okay, I think they're going to come up with a mass MOBA RPG version of Pokemon where you can go to every single one of the regions that they have ever had as some mass 25th anniversary thing. Prediction out there.
Honestly, I hope that they would do something like that. I would love to
Me
see...
too. Like, all sarcasm aside, me too.
I would love to see and I swear I talked about this like years ago on the podcast, like a new gen Pokemon where you see all of the Pokemon in their habitat, like in Xenoblade. Yeah, I used this. All right, I remember. This is coming back to me. Like Xenoblade Cross on the Wii U, where you would see your creatures interacting with their environments, interacting with each other, that kind of stuff. I want that X2 on, no pun intended, times 2 in like a new Pokemon game in a new engine where you're running around and you battle not in real time, but like kind of like Ni no Kuni, the first one. Where you could move your Pokemon around in real time, but it was still an active time battle or turn-based battle system. It's just that you had like sort of like the facade. Oh, you know what's a really good example of this is Dragon Quest XI-S. They have two ways to display that battle system. In a classic way where everybody's just standing there and you choose stuff off of the menu, or one where it is still you're choosing off of the menu, but you have the control to move your character around. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't affect anything. It's just a visual change, and it just feels different, but mechanically it doesn't affect anything. And it's cool. It's nice. It gives you a little bit of personality with your Pokemon, or it would. I would love that with Pokemon.
I would love to see them fully embrace a Pokemon MMO.
Yeah.
And you could do it in a segmented format. You can actually introduce different regions in there, and you can keep the same character going to all these different regions. And you can even set it up so that if you go to a different region, there's a customs. Like, you can only bring Pokemon up to a certain level.
I'm sure the fan base would love that.
Well, absolutely, but they've been having to work with these restrictions for so long anyway. But from a battle mechanic standpoint, I would love to see, if it is an MMO, I would love to see them being able to bring in combatants mid-battle. They've alluded to that kind of up until this point, but let's say you get into a battle and your friend is also exploring the same map. Well, midway through the battle, your friend can come up, join in that battle. So now it becomes a 1-on-1 into a 2-on-1, but the same can also be said for the other Pokemon coming in too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you have the other random Pokemon, they can join the fight if they want to. Like, if it's the same type or something.
Yeah, and even if this isn't like an MMO, like if this is just like still a single player thing with online elements or something like that, or yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do with Pokemon without like showing your full hand, but just like creativity and like new systems. But at the same time, Pokemon is still aimed at like a very young audience as well. It's just hard because you have an audience that grew up with these games for over 25 years, and they maybe want something more.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a reality disparity, because I will just say for myself, I'm not super crazy into Pokemon. I was back 25 years ago when I was on the school bus and like trading Pokemon with people. But if Pokemon went a little bit more creative in terms of art style and gameplay mechanics, I would be way more interested in it. But I know I wouldn't say I'm no, but I have a hard inkling. Let me rephrase that. I've seen too many Splatoon images on Tumblr, okay?
Yeah.
I have a thought that I am in the minority on that.
Nope. Can't use that word.
Can't use the word thought?
Thoughts, Splatoon. T-H-O-T.
I have a thought. A thoughty with a body. Going back to something though that you said with like customs and stuff like that, I would love to like be in an MMO with Pokemon. You go up to the customs, going into the Kanto region, being like, gotta put on your mask. Can't come through here without a mask.
Yeah.
Sharp objects, nope. Throw that in the bin. You have a bottle of water. You gotta empty that out. By the way, that Blastoise, end it right now. It cannot come into this. Actually, it shouldn't be Blastoise. Blastoise should be able to go into Kanto.
I don't know. It's propulsion jets that it has on the back can actually go straight through steel beams. That is part of the Pokedex entry.
Great 9/11 joke. What the hell?
That wasn't what I was originally going for, but okay.
Wasn't it?
It was not.
We must move on.
One other thing I did want to say, though, now that we're spitballing ideas, kind of going off of what you were saying, I would love to see more of a generalized ecosystem for the Pokemon, because they are starting to introduce this idea of Pokemon roaming around in the wild. And specifically, what I want to see is kind of like Pokemon fighting each other in areas where it makes sense. Like,
yes,
you come across
take a
an
page
area
from
and then,
Monster Hunter and Pokemon Snap and roll those pages into the book that is the next mainline Pokemon.
Like, you're trying to go and catch whatever new insect-type Pokemon that they come out with, and then all of a sudden a Pidgey comes down and snatches it up and, like, flies away. So you can't catch that one anymore.
They would
Or
never
you're-
do that. I want
or
them to, but they would
you're
never do
try-
that because it's not child-friendly. Suddenly,
Or
like,
you're
a
trying
child would
to-
realize, oh my god, they're eating each other! And then, like,
They
some...
say it! They say it every time you catch one!
But
Like, the
then
first
some
time they catch-
child would get sad, and then a mother would call up the Nintendo and be like, my child can't know about death!
They have already accused Pokemon of Satanism.
Yes, I
How much
remember
further
that.
can you actually go?
Well, you know
They
what?
literally have a Pokemon that
Maybe
says,
we should just go
here's
into
this
Hail
balloon.
Satan, okay?
They literally have a Pokemon that is a balloon that when you catch it, it says it picks up random children and flies away with it, never
love
to
it.
be seen again.
It takes it off to Satan. Akubi Suru Satan. That's how we say it in the Nihongo.
I'm just saying, make it happen.
I would love it.
I would get back into Pokemon, I'm just saying.
It'll never happen, so that's why, like, you just kind of basically need another property. Somebody else needs to do something that's not affiliated with it, make it a sort of spiritual successor, that kind of thing. But then it gets into, like, edgelord territory, and it's like, if you don't go into, like, beyond
Isn't it-
the Black Rainbow edgelord and
wasn't that just Pokemon Gale of Darkness?
Galen of Darkness,
Gale of Darkness. I feel like we've made this joke before. They
Have we?
made it.
I feel
They
like this is
made-
the first time I've ever heard of it.
There was a Pokemon game for the GameCube called Gale of Darkness, and it was all about like a Pokemon RPG, but you played as like whatever the Team Rocket was in that game, and you would go around and catch dark Pokemon or something. But it was like super edgelord, and it was trying to have them be their version of edgy in it.
Was this like the Sonic Adventure era and the Shadow the Hedgehog
Yep.
era
Yep.
where he's got a gun?
It,
Do you remember that? Shadow the
the
Hedgehog is
Pokemon's got a gun.
horrible.
Yeah, no, there was some questionable content on the GameCube.
I would love to see Pikachu with a gun, though. He's had a gun for a while.
I'm really sad that's not what Detective Pikachu was.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine that? Like,
you got Ryan Reynolds to play as Detective Pikachu. I mean, you're so close. Just let it happen.
like he shoves a Charmander up against the wall, and he's like, I know you got whores in that back room. I want to see like a
Grab the Charmander's tail, just slowly put it under like a dripping faucet or something like that. It's like, I'll do it. I'm crazy. You tell me where the Coke is now.
I want to
The
see
rare
like
candy
a,
doesn't make itself.
a Who Framed Roger Rabbit style Detective
I would
Pikachu.
love that.
Oh, Bob Hoskins. He's so
Aw.
wonderful. When I evolved your Pikachu, he looked just like this.
Oh man, who was that again? Christopher Lloyd? No.
Yes.
Yes.
It
Yes.
was
Doc
scary. I remember that being like such a terrifying scene, like just because it's pure madness.
Brown. You know, my wife had never seen it, and I showed it to her, and she was rather unamused by that.
What? She
Yeah,
didn't like the movie?
She did not like it. I also showed her Back to the Future for the first time, and she just could not get into it.
What?
To be fair, I feel like we have a lot of like nostalgia goggles on it from watching it when we were kids.
No, I
Um,
don't. I that's not one of those movies that I have nostalgia goggles for. I just think that it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Bizarre. Speaking of bizarre, the Wii U Mario Maker is
Nintendo, what's going on?
it's being sunset, as we shall say. So what's going on with this? Starting March 31st of 2021,
There's that number again. It keeps popping up.
the magical number, the 31st. You can no longer upload courses, and the bookmark feature in-game and the bookmark website will also be closing. You can still play courses that have been uploaded. So it's not completely shutting down like a lot of people are saying because they don't know how to read articles. You can still play what's already there. It's just you can't put new things on there. The game will be removed from the Wii U eShop starting...
But only temporarily.
Oh, temporarily?
Yeah, so from what I read in the article, they are taking it down sometime in January.
January 13th.
But after like a particular date, they did not allude to that specifically. They said it is going to be coming back up on the shop.
No, you are wrong. What they said is it's being removed from the eShop on January 13th. You can still re-download the game after that date.
Oh,
so
that's what it was.
Yes.
Okay. I stand corrected.
Yeah, you definitely do. Why don't you sit down corrected? How about that? If you have bought the game on the eShop, then you can still re-download it if you like deleted it or wanted to move, whatever. It's still available for re-download for those who have purchased it. That's what that means.
Yeah.
This is, of course, not going to have any impact on Mario Maker 2 for Switch, but this still does beg the question, what's happening on April 1st? Because on the 31st of March, Mario 35 is ending, Mario All-Stars is going away, they say. There's this. I feel like there was something else. It's interesting. Is Mario canceled?
I don't think Mario's canceled. I think Mario is retiring. I think they're packing
What did
up
he
shop.
do? Did he run an OnlyFans and it was against his contract with Nintendo?
No, but his brother Luigi has been super suspicious this entire time. I think that this is a political gesture from Mario to get the entire family out of the limelight. They are playing it safe. They're going to be dishing out some free games and stuff to kind of like, tone things down, do some PR crowd control type thing.
Well, I demand a recount, first off.
They are just going to take the first warp pipe out of here as soon as they can.
The Mario crime family. Okay, that's what's going on here. They're trying to steal this.
I'm just saying, I didn't vote for Peach.
Well, why would you? That autocratic bitch!
Yay!
Daisy Harris 2021. I don't know.
You know what? That wasn't even really a joke, but it was fine.
No, this is so weird. What the hell is Nintendo doing on April 1st?
Yeah.
And nothing they say on April 1st, we are going to 100% believe, because the gaming community is a bunch of trolls and they use April Fool's Day as some sort of sacrilegious holiday. So
I don't know. Of course, I don't like speculating a whole bunch of nonsense, but I hope something cool is coming in April.
yeah.
I hope that there's a reason for this, but I'm not going to get my hopes up. We'll just see, because whatever time will pass just as it always do, we'll get there.
No, it's true.
However,
I still believe that they are going to be completely reworking their online features as well as their eShop, the way they have their eShop structured.
there's no reason for you to believe this other than you want to believe it, but I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's just, this is my speculation. Yeah.
I would like to say, now, since Mario will be canceled, that's confirmed. He,
Quote Onidino, or at Oni_Dino.
Cool, good job. Ooh, I need a glass of water. Drink of water.
Look at a picture of Onidino drinking water on his Instagram, at Oni__Dino.
I do not have a picture of my face on my Instagram.
Hear about why he is not having pictures of himself on Instagram on his Get Vocal, which is currently no.
My God, this human. This everyday monster in human clothing that sits before me every week. All right, with Mario being canceled, quick, Galen. Pitch
Is
your
anything quick on the show?
Not with you. Pitch Pitch your idea for a new Nintendo mascot, okay? A brand new one. What is their appeal? What do they look like? And what do they do?
I want to say that this is a college student who gets a gen ed education. He's trying to find new employment and become an electrician. He gets sucked into a digital world, and he must save the digital princess in a platform-esque game environment.
This is just Ready Player One.
Yeah, but it's,
Worse.
Nintendo cartoony. That was my pitch. You do yours.
I'm flabbergasted by how terrible that was, Galen.
Really?
What?
Really?
What?
You had higher expectations for me.
No!
You had such high expectations
No.
for me to riff off the spot that when I failed to meet those expectations, you were left speechless.
No.
So by you saying that you are flabbergasted,
Additional DLC.
you're a liar.
Stop the count. Stop the March 31st. Galen, what are you recommending in the additional DLC for our listeners?
So, it being the day
Downtown
after it being the day after Thanksgiving and 8 years since, I'm recommending bleh. I'm recommending Matt McMuscles' latest video, Wii U. What happened?
What happened?
Yeah, can you believe that it has been 8 years since the Wii U came out?
Yeah.
I was working at a Best Buy at the time, and I remember having to work all that day that it launched, and just cannot wait to get home and play Zombie U. And I played it for 15 minutes, and then spent an hour and a half on the frickin' Miiverse.
Oh yeah, you know what? Right when the Wii U launched, and for a couple months after that, Miiverse was great.
Mm-hmm.
It was really great.
Absolutely.
People were actually asking questions about video games and talking about video games. And then, I think the install base grew ever so slightly. And then a whole bunch of children were in it. And then it turned into a really weird dating zone.
It became
8-year-olds.
just Picto Chat with just pictures of dicks everywhere. That's all it became.
Worse, it became the live chat. Do you remember the live chat that the Wii U had?
Oh, no.
I had so many people on Miiverse message me and be like, let's do things that I can't mention on the live chat. And I was like, fuck no. And immediately block.
Yeah.
Weird stuff. So that first 3 months was cool
Yeah.
when that wasn't happening.
They actually addressed that in this video, how they were talking about how some of the features were kind of cool. A lot of it was poorly implemented, however.
Yeah. Do you remember the freaking TV? I'll never forget the TV app. Did they talk about it in there?
They didn't talk about the TV app.
Oh,
No.
it's a shame. I wonder if it didn't launch in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it launched in the United States, and then it never launched in Europe. But there was a TV app on there, and when they introduced it, it said, with the Wii U, watching TV is now fun. And I was like, who wrote that?
No,
What's their
pretty
name?
much. There was a lot of bad marketing surrounding the Wii U in general.
Yeah.
I will also say that this is a collaborative episode with another one of my recommendations in the past, Scott the Woz.
Oh.
The two of them talk a little bit about the history of the Wii U, especially around that launch time, and part of the reasons why it wasn't as successful, but still more successful than the Virtual Boy. So
Yeah. I mean,
just by a bit.
it wasn't a bad console. It's just it was very much after its time. It was not ahead of time. It was just it could have been great had it launched instead of Never mind. I'm not getting into this.
I'm gonna quote Matt from this episode.
Okay.
This console launched at the perfect time to have the least amount of impact.
Yeah, that's really, really well said, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's spot on. It's a great video. Highly recommend it. So
Cool. I'm gonna check it out. I really like his What Happened series.
absolutely.
Let's go into listener mail.
Wait, do you not have an additional DLC?
I don't.
All right, let's go on to listener mail.
Galen, now, your fingers. Let's talk about them.
Okay, they are made of sausages.
Right.
Yeah.
When you slam your sausage fingers into a keyboard, what happens?
They somehow type in the words destiny. I don't know.
God damn it. They type in the words Nintendo Everything Pod at gmail.com and they send us horrible emails.
And that is why I use the voice command feature to send an email to nintendoeverythingpod at gmail.com.
And that's what other sausage fingered listeners can do. This
And also,
is
if you have
the
regular-
worst
Yeah, this
listener
is a
mail
little weird
segment
one.
we've ever done.
Yeah.
I've-
This is kind of a weird one.
You were the one that brought up sausage fingers.
You're the one who let me think of sausage fingers. There's a back and forth here. We're both responsible for this train wreck.
Wow, what a heterosexual white American blaming others for your problems.
I'm not blaming others. I'm just sharing the blame. I'm considerate that way. Just like this very considerate Discord person.
And before we do we also have a Discord. You just go to our description and there's a link for it right there. And you can, there's a channel there called Questions. You can leave your question right there because maybe that's more convenient than writing an email. Emails are difficult. They're so hard.
Yeah. Especially if you have sausage fingers.
So, just like this lovely listener who wrote in our Discord, go on, Galen. I'm so sorry for the quality of this episode, by the way, everybody. Like, what is wrong with me? I'm losing my mind. I'm really... We'll pick it up, okay?
Yeah.
Just like Galen's face, we'll pick it up.
Hey, quick question. How do you say this guy's name? Blalden?
I don't know!
Bladden.
Vladin. Vladlin.
Bladden says, what is your opinion on the fact how... I'm going to redo that.
I'm gonna leave that in.
What is your opinion on the fact on how far we came with in-game purchases from way back when everyone was disgusted about the Oblivion Horse armor to nowadays with big vocal groups of people who defend loot boxes, like in Rainbow Six Siege and others? Okay, hang on.
I don't know, Galen, I understand, as a heterosexual man yourself, the word rainbow is very difficult to say. Listen, if you don't expect me to knock him down, why do you set him up for me, okay?
Fair. So, the question is, how do we get to this point? Here is a bonus strange anecdote. I know you...
He's got a sausage tongue, too, everybody.
Yeah, a little bit. Here is a bonus strange anecdote. I know a guy who has money to spare and is obsessed with FIFA. One time, he spent $22,000 in one sitting, so even EA blocked his card and contacted him saying that his card might be stolen. Even asked if he wanted a refund. Of course, he said everything was fine, and then he wanted to spend more money.
That's mad. That is incredibly mad.
That is crazy.
Yes.
That is, like, infuriating. Like, I want to make a whale thar she blow joke, but no, that is upsetting, and that person needs help.
I just think about, like, how about even a quarter of that go into, like, save the children?
Anywhere else.
You know what I mean?
Anywhere else. Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, man. Thank you so much for your question. Yeah, so he mentions Oblivion Horse armor. So that was those microtransactions that they did with the special edition of Skyrim
Yes.
that Bethesda
Yes.
did, right? And
Yeah.
it was, God, there was a bunch of there was layers of controversy with that because
Mm-hmm.
it was, it was payable mods. That's what it ultimately was.
And I think I want to go ahead and just like kind of recap this question a little bit
Because you borked it.
because I butchered it just 100%. So if I understand this correctly, the question is just saying, hey, when things like the horse armor first came out and everybody was all up in arms with something so stupid, now we're at a point where there are several like groups of people and a generalized opinion from some individuals that, you know, loot boxes are okay, they're fine.
Yeah.
It's just a part of the accepted, you know, industry now. How do we go from point A to point B? And I believe that's the question.
Yes.
So,
Like, I mean, what do we think about like this very quick evolution?
exactly.
It really is crazy, and like that's the whole thing that corporations do with like pushing people's buttons or pushing, what do I say, like going too far. That's exactly EA's strategy, and you know, they're not idiots or anything like that. They knew what they were doing with this, is you push it so far, if you get fined you pay for it, but you normalize this behavior, and then people eventually, you know, they move their goalposts. Because before it used to be, do you remember before? It used to be DLC. What is this? After I buy the game, I have to buy more game? That's
Yeah.
awful. And then now people like DLC, and then it was little costume purchases. What are these microtransactions? I can pay for individual costumes? These used to be unlockables in the game. And now people are like, well, it's okay to buy microtransactions as long as they're cosmetic. And then there's loot box. You know what I mean? They keep
Yeah.
moving their goalposts. And it's nuts. It's awful, and that's exactly what the big companies want because they can make more money off of their games.
And I mean, unfortunately, I'm of two minds of this. On the one hand, I think this is 100% predatorial practices. Like, they are literally using the psychological trends that you have no control over unless you are actively aware of yourself to recognize these patterns. You know, to use an old adage, the devil isn't going to show up with a bunch of horns and a pitchfork. He's going to show up with a nice suit and a smile. Like, it eases you into these points where you think these things are okay until you realize that, oh shit, I'm the frog in a boiling pot of water.
Is that an adage?
That is, actually.
Interesting.
This kind of goes back onto what we were talking about the other episode as well, about the evolution of early access games. And
Wait a
this
second,
kind-
before we get into that. That's a tangent and a half.
It is a little bit of a tangent and a half, but my beliefs are kind of the same in the sense of, like, how do we get to this point? It's an evolution of finding out what the community thinks is good versus bad versus tolerable, and big corporations are going to be like, okay, tolerable, I can work with this, let's keep going on this. And they slowly start to shift opinion, and more people who are against it will start to move into that tolerable state because there's not as much of a choice
But here's
coming around.
Here's the thing though with like how did we even get to this point? Look at stuff like what, oh my god, not Fallout. Fortnite. The biggest freaking video game, right? Probably one of the biggest, whatever.
I would say it's one of the biggest right now.
Yes, all of the children play that game in say middle school or, you know, junior high or high school or whatever. They then, you know, need to buy the cosmetics so that way they don't get bullied at school, because that's the thing that happens. If you have the general cosmetics in the game, then you possibly get bullied in school. So they ask their parents for money, and then like the parents don't know exactly what's going on because unless they are a genuine gamer themselves, they don't pay attention to the industry. Why would they? You know, just like you wouldn't expect anybody to know the inner workings of the movie industry unless they're a critic or working in a filmic theory or something. So then the parents like, okay, well, you know, on your birthday you get, you know, $10 or whatever of the cash or whatever, or you know, you get some good grades, we'll give you, you know, a $5 Fortnite card or whatever the hell they have for the digital currency. The parents don't know. They just think that they're giving their kid like a little reward thing, just like you would buy a kid a toy or something like that, or you would buy a kid. And what used to happen, at least for us, is like a new video game, or you would go rent a video game as a reward for, you know, getting good grades or something. Even, gosh, this is a little bit of a tangent in itself, but I remember now, just kind of reminded myself that certain, like Blockbuster would every quarterly report for your video games, if you got A's, 1A would be you get a two-day video game rental for free. And that was brilliant, honestly. That was really good marketing for them.
Yeah.
But I remember looking forward to that, and that just, you know, sucked
Getting
me
my
in.
report card and being like, hey, awesome, I get 4 free games. That's like in a month of games or something.
But it really did drive you, like if you cared about video games, it really did drive you to, you know, work a little harder in school, especially like if you were right on the cusp of getting an A, you know?
Yeah.
You would be like,
And
do you have, what's that called? Extra credit or something I can do? You know, like you tried.
Well, and I also think that it's interesting that you bring up the whole Fortnite example.
Yes,
and
sorry,
especially
that's where I was at.
People getting picked on for not having certain cosmetics. Okay, boomer time here. I remember when you and I were younger, video games were kind of those things that you don't really talk about to a lot of people. They weren't very popular. You would get made fun of just for saying, I like to play video games.
Yes,
not that
yes.
I couldn't spend money on video games.
Right.
I think that's the fact that there is a generational shift that has happened there with that expectation that video games have become more popular and more accessible and more accepted. I think it's easier for companies to kind of like push the boundaries of how can we make money off of this and what is accepted.
Absolutely, because when they start doing that with a younger crowd, then that just becomes normal behavior. To kids nowadays, spending in-game purchases and loot boxes and stuff like that, buying games digitally, not going to the store and buying games physically, that is all normalized behavior for them. Look at things like Netflix, like using the movie industry as a parallel. Lots of people pay a streaming service and they don't buy Blu-rays anymore. And that's, I think, eventually going to happen just at a slower rate with video games, where people are just doing the streaming thing because the goalposts move, because stuff gets normalized. And that's why it's important for us to call out shitty business behavior, because here's the thing, is the video game industries are so profitable. We're talking about net profit after taxes and stuff like that, if they even freaking pay them, which they usually don't.
Yeah.
They're so profitable, but we're not seeing that money go back into the people that work there. We're seeing record profits and layoffs at the exact same time, and that is a huge fundamental problem with this. And so you can't even be like, well, they got to pay the devs somehow. You are insane if you genuinely believe, or you're lying to yourself if you genuinely believe that things like this are going right back into the devs, or that devs get paid residuals on games doing well. That happens so infrequently.
Yeah.
So infrequently.
No, absolutely.
Do you think that if a game that I translate sells really well, that I get residuals? Hell no. I got paid upfront as a freelancer, usually a crap fee, and that's how it goes. But if you knew that I am crunching to make this video game, and then you're like, well, I don't want to support it, or you say, well, I do want to support it because I have to make sure that those devs, can feed their families or whatever, then that's crazy. That is not how it happens.
This is going to be a little off topic, but I actually want to bring this up.
We're all
right
over
now.
the place right now with this question.
We
anyway.
really are.
It's fine.
So
thanks, Walden.
Have you heard about the PlayStation 5 scalpers in the UK recently?
No, but I mean, I can imagine.
There's a particular group of, I think it was like 12 individuals over there who have been able to acquire, I think, upwards of like 32 or 52,000 PlayStation 5 units.
Oh my God.
And they are, yeah, it's an insane amount, and they're scalping them, selling them for almost double the amount. they're also using bots to hack into the systems for when this inventory does come in to make sure they can get as many as possible. Now, technically what they are doing is legal because of some stupid like botting rules, and it was like you can't use bots for live event services like buying tickets on for like a concert or something, but technically there's no rule against using it for store purchases because it's a physical good that you are acquiring, and that's the loophole that they're kind of using to get through. Now, when confronted with this, they are basically saying, we have no remorse, we are not we don't have any remorse of what we are doing, because a lot of the people that we have on our team are currently unemployed and laid off for due to like COVID and other things like that. So yeah, it may suck that a kid doesn't get their PS5 on for Christmas, but that means because we're selling this at a profit, our members can go ahead and maybe give their kids any sort of gifts for Christmas. And they're trying to play it off as this whole like Robin Hood-esque mentality of we're fighting the system and taking advantage of the situation.
Horseshit.
Yeah, right?
That is such BS, and they're using it in such a disgusting way too.
Exactly.
To be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, but that is the kind of mentality. And like even when I heard that for the first time, it's like I feel like there's a couple of layers to this, because yeah, it sucks that I can't get a PS5 like right now if I wanted to get one, primarily because of things like these scalpers. But on the other hand, I'm not going to be upset with it. And if I was, I would basically be angry because of the privilege of not having this thing right then and right there. But that also brings up a whole nother problem. Like,
it
like
highlights
there's a bunch
fundamental
of
problems where like if
Yeah.
you don't have rules and regulations, that people will take advantage of them, and that's just like the human nature, and it's super disgusting. And like
Yeah.
some people will say things like, oh well, you know, the market will regulate itself or whatever. No, it won't. Jesus ain't say that.
An unregulated market is how we basically got to where we are.
Right.
And this is a conversation for another day, I feel.
So basically is all you have to do is you just have to push people a little bit, and then they get comfortable with blah, blah, blah. And then you just push them a little bit more, and then, you know, you get them exactly where you want to. And then you're a horrible company. Like EA was voted worst company in America several years in a row. And yeah, I mean, the big AAA ones, that's why I'm just so disenfranchised with them.
I feel like, with my honest opinions kind of like out there and kind of out of the way, I do want to play devil's advocate a little bit. These companies wouldn't be able to get away with this kind of thing if we didn't accept that. I mean, like the email was suggesting.
I don't know if that's so good to say though, because that's not even playing devil's advocate. That is placing blame on the victims kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I agree that we shouldn't be supporting these games. That's why I don't, you know?
But it's not necessarily a victim against the victim mentality if it's a sense.
I just kind of mean
like,
consumers.
Yeah. There are so many different ways that we can say we don't approve of these kind of trends or, you know, practices.
And people do. Like, you know, they'll write articles about it in publications like Jason Schreier with Bloomberg, you know? But then there's pushback to that, you know, and just like Laden says here, people defending things like Rainbow Six Siege with loot boxes and stuff like that. And they say things like that, and they try to downplay the efforts of people, you know, protesting or raising awareness or whatever. You know what I mean? So there's people pushing back on that. I don't think it's fair to say that like this wouldn't happen if we all didn't, you know, support it. Like, yes, but like that's not even realistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's horrible things happening, horrible people in power, and they trick people into voting for them or supporting them or whatever. That kind of stuff just happens with companies and people who know how to abuse power. So I don't know if that was... I'm sorry that I feel like I'm pushing you into a corner with that, but I just want to say that I don't think that that's like a very not logical, but just like fair devil's advocate stance to take.
Well, I'm just saying, like, the voice of the consumer has a lot of weight and has a lot of merit to it, but I don't necessarily think that the consumer is as unified in order to use that as frequently as it should.
Yeah, not at all. And that's the way that companies like to keep it, is they like to keep you scattered, spread
Complacent.
apart. Not complacent, but
Disjointed?
disjointed, sure. There you go.
Yeah. No, and I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. So
It's
they
depressing.
it kind of cycles back around to what I said before, you know. Just gonna show up in a suit and a smile. So
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about going to the drive-through and getting fast food.
no, that's you.
No, that's you. You don't even remember why.
Regardless, disjointed answers aside, thank you very much for a very enlightened and thought-provoking question.
Thank you for such a hot topic. Still hot? Still hot.
Still hot.
Thank you, Laden. Also, tell us how we should be properly pronouncing your username.
Yes.
Watch, it's probably like W. Ladlin.
I'd believe that.
I don't know. He'll have to tell us.
I'm tired.
So what's coming up? What's coming out? NintendoEverything.com. Lots of brilliant coverage, translations, reviews, all kinds of goodness, nonstop goodness. Stay connected to us on the Nintendo Everything Twitter at NinEverything. Also the YouTube, youtube.com/NinEverything. Then Galen and I have Twitters. They're separate Twitters. They never,
Thank God.
ever communicate. Mine is at Oni_Dino.
And mine is at Mobius087.
Galen, what's your go-to when you go and get disgusting fast food?
Honestly, I have actually been trying to stay away from fast food as much as possible.
Great! Good job!
However, it's been an active thing. Some of the cravings are still there occasionally, and when they do pop up, honestly, just the staple of a thing of French fries and chicken nuggets. There's something artificially comforting about that, and I think that's part of the problem.
I am translating a game right now, and they're talking about Japanese fried chicken, which is called karaage. And this is part of the localization thing. I was like, oh man, okay, so how far do I go with it? You know, thinking about translation theory. Do I just say Japanese fried chicken? Do I go further east or further purist and say karaage? Or do I go further west and, you know, too localized and call it chicken tendies? And I really, really wanted to do that because I think that chicken tendies is one of the funniest words on the planet.
That is hilarious. I would get into that.
Ultimately, I think I did just call it fried chicken just because that was the least abrasive and like the best, you know, blending of all words. I meant to say worlds.
Just call them nugs. Just call them nugs.
No, tendies is funny. Chicky tendies.
Is pretty funny. I guess it depends on the context that it's actually in. Like, in what context is it coming up in?
Well, I can't tell you because that's an NDA issue. Okay, so lovely listeners,
so close to getting that out of you.
Stay tuned. Nuggies or tendies? Which
Nugs or tendies? I'm putting up a Twitter poll right now.
This is
Nobody's
the
gonna
Splatoon 2
understand this
Splatfest.
until they
Nuggies
listen
or
to this
tendies?
episode.
We'll see you next week. Until then, for everything Nintendo.
Stay tuned to Nintendo Everything.